They're doing cutaway gags like fucking Family Guy. Okay, hello. Welcome back. I missed a week there because I moved to a smaller studio than I was living in before, which is crazy because it was already tiny, but here I am. I got all moved in, and yesterday I had the urge to make some peach cobbler, and I took a glass baking dish, and it was empty and nothing was in it yet. I was getting all the stuff ready on the side. Thought I would set it on the stove onto a hot burner, and it exploded. It didn't shatter. It didn't just crack. It exploded. Shards went flying. It cut my knee. But I do want to talk about the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I love Game of Thrones. And in my heated rivalry video, I did speak about, well, also Stranger Things, which is why I spoke about like the endings of like, long awaited series that everybody was watching and the expectations that come and the impression that the last season of Game of Thrones left on all TV viewers everywhere. Despite that, well, in the video, I also said I gave them some grace because, oh my God, it's Game of Thrones. There's so many seasons where it's not bad, and just the coolest shit possible is going on the whole time. So they get some grace. Stranger Things, there's still some cool stuff, but it wasn't as consistently cool as Game of Thrones was. Like, my God. And they weren't just in Indiana either. I said all this before. Game of Thrones gets a lot of grace from me. 1, I love the cast. 2, I love a good world building story. I love a fictional world. I love fake names. I love fake places. I like to see exactly where the similarities to our world are and what's different. And I just love the world of Game of Thrones. I have attempted to read the first book a couple times. However, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms novel, which was originally 3 short stories, I believe, I did read the first 2. Maybe it was the first one. This was years ago in high school. But I liked it, and I do remember quite a bit from what I read. As far as Dunk and Egg go. And I like House of the Dragon. Season 1, liked it quite a bit more than Season 2, but I wasn't on the Season 2 hate train that everybody else was on. Do I think it dropped in quality and that they were making so many excuses for Rhaenyra? Why is Rhaenyra so... I don't like it that they make her more gray than she should be. She should be like righteous in her actions. She should feel righteous. And they make her seem unsure of herself. They make her seem a little too sympathetic towards the Greens. And I think a little bit of that is fine. But the episode, she like literally makes it all the way back to King's Landing and fucking like corners Alicent, and they have a secret chat that nobody knows about. I don't know. I think you're pushing it. I think you're pushing it a little bit. Nevertheless, and well, also the dragons are much cooler in House of the Dragon. In Game of Thrones, it's just 3, and they're all siblings, so I guess it doesn't count. But the dragon designs, they're all different in House of the Dragon. It's beautiful. I'm excited for Season 3. This war needs to just fucking start. Can they not just start? All the big battles that you hear about. And I love the Targaryens. It's my favorite family. Are you joking? Daenerys she's the queen. And if you watch Game of Thrones and the whole time you're not like, oh, she's who should be the queen. I'm not mad that they made her crazy at the end. I'm mad the way that they did it. It was so fast. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have the most beef with David Benioff, D.B. Weiss. I have permanent beef with these guys, and I truly hope that they never do anything else in Hollywood again. I think they have. Nothing that was beloved that I know of. But I have permanent beef with them. Because I'm sure many of you already know, because of Game of Thrones was so big and popular, they signed a contract to do a trilogy of Star Wars films. After the ones with Rey, there was going to be another trilogy, and they were going to be like the guys in charge. And they wanted to get to Star Wars so fast that they rushed season 8 of Game of Thrones. There had already been issues. I had heard people who read the books talk about season 7. And the whole Dorne subplot was mishandled. But there's a vast difference between what's bad about season 7 and what's bad about season 8. Season 7, that's like writing stuff, I feel. Season 8 is like, let's just get this motherfucker over with at this point. Because 8, I remember reading that HBO, and they should have, offered the creators of Game of Thrones, they're like, you can spend as much money as you want on this. You can do as many episodes as you want. And they were like, let's just do 6. You can't even do 8? And then not to mention all like the Starbucks cup, which is funny. I don't care about that. But they were like, no, we want to get to Star Wars. Rush season 8 of Game of Thrones. Everyone in the world was watching this show. I remember where I was. I had binged all 7 seasons like 6 months before season 8 came out. I binged all of the 7 seasons of Game of Thrones in 2 weeks. And mind you, I took 3 days off after the Red Wedding. I was in school, not going to class, doing nothing but watching Game of Thrones. When I wasn't watching Game of Thrones, I was on YouTube watching lore videos about Game of Thrones. Olenna Tyrell, Marjorie Tyrell, my favorite characters. Down bad. But I love Daenerys. There's something special about her. She really is like a mother to me. And she was also in my hometown and filmed a movie with Johnny Knoxville for a long time. Didn't see her. And this was long before I got into Game of Thrones. It's called Above Suspicion. I want to say it's probably like streaming on Hulu. But she was in my tiny little small town in Kentucky for a while. And I love this bitch bad. Daenerys, if you're out there. I know Drogon took you to be brought back to life. And then you became the real queen. Fucking Bran. Bran is absolutely the most boring character in this. This is just going to turn into a Game of Thrones hate video. Bran is the most fucking boring character in the show throughout the entire series. I don't give a fuck about the Raven stuff. The 3-eyed. I don't care. I do not care. You're boring. Didn't care about Rickon, his little brother. Didn't really care about Hodor until the hold the door thing. Then it was like, whoa, like this is trippy. And it was cool. What was her name? Osha? Osha Violation, like the woman who played Tonks in Harry Potter. She was with them. Probably the most interesting character in that entire storyline, to be honest with you. But no, they sped up through season 8 of Game of Thrones just to get to Star Wars. It went so bad, Disney canceled the deal. It was that bad. So, fuck you guys. I truly have permanent beef with you. But despite all of that, I do love Game of Thrones. I love this world. And I was fine with the way that they had done Game of Thrones. In an extremely similar way they do House of the Dragon. As far as cinematography, the way they're telling these stories, like the themes and what it's generally about is very similar to Game of Thrones. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, however, is so different, but it still feels like the same world. This is big brain stuff, right? This is also, I want to talk about DC for a second. James Gunn, I'm watching you. The new DCU, I think they're doing something Marvel has kind of experimented with other genres. They dipped their little toes in. I don't think they've ever really gone full different genre. However, I haven't really watched a lot of the last Marvel stuff. But I'm not fully off the train yet. I still love DC way more. But with the new DCU, for whatever reason, the Clayface movie, a Batman villain, is getting, after the Supergirl movie that comes out this year, he gets one at Halloween. They just pushed it a little closer to Halloween, like 2 days ago. And it's supposed to be full, rated R horror movie, which is not the first DC character I would do a rated R horror movie about, but I'm not mad because I have been wishing for this for quite some time. And I think it fits in with like body horror's back. Body horror's back, the substance. Are you joking? So I'm down. But you can have the same universe, the same cinematic universe, and explore different themes, different genres within that same world. And that's what the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is doing. Is it's instead of you having to keep track of, okay, here's 50 different characters, time jump. Here's the same characters you were trying to keep track of before, but now they're older and different actors, and they all have silly names, and you all have to remember their names. And if you don't, and a lot of them have the same name. How many Aegons have you seen? And there is one in the new show, which I'm going to spoil. It's Egg. That's his little nickname, because he's the prince, and he runs off. He wants to be a squire for a night, and he finds Dunk, who is this hedge knight, which is like the less serious version of a real knight, who basically just sleeps outside and does like odd jobs for people. But he's still technically a knight. He's just not in service to a family or a house. He's just kind of like a contractor, essentially. So he's running around having little adventures, and now he has a squire who's secretly the prince. That's fun. But it's a lot more lighthearted, and it's been really funny so far. They're doing cutaway gags, like fucking Family Guy, which is pretty inspired. The way that they're doing them, especially in the first episode, was really funny. The stories seem a lot more contained, like one-off. Each episode feels like a contained story. I still have to finish episode 4, but I feel strongly about this show. It's such a change of pace. I feel like it truly has like reinvigorated my love for this universe, and I think it could potentially be reinvigorating everyone's love for this universe, because House of the Dragon started off strong, and then I feel like people think it fell off. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm not fully off House of the Dragon train yet, and I love me some dragons. Night of the Seven Kingdoms exists in the timeline closer to Game of Thrones. It's like 90 years before, I think. The Targaryens are still in control here, of course. There are no dragons at this point. All the dragons are dead, and you're kind of interacting with the Targaryens, not the king yet, but the princes, their children, the other princes, and Daenerys Targaryen. I'm in love with you, or Aerion, sorry. See, Aerion Targaryen, I'm in love with you. Please marry me. You're so attractive, even though you seem to be quite evil. I'm loving it so far. I don't even know if I have any like actual review of the episodes that have come out. I just want to say I'm really loving the show. It's possible I make another video about this while it's running, but I want to applaud myself for doing so good watching television as it's coming out this past 6 months. I've done so good. I did Welcome to Derry, which I'm probably going to talk about soon too. I did Stranger Things, I did Heated Rivalry, and I'm on Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Do you know how long it's been since I've cared about TV enough to keep up with it? In the past couple years, I love TV. I love media. Like I have this whole channel situation, obviously. But TV is hard to keep up with. It's hard for me to really get into stuff. And honestly, there's more that I could. People are talking about Rivals, and I've kind of dipped my toes in with the reality series stuff, but I just wanted to let everybody know that you should watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms if you like Game of Thrones. And if you don't, it's absolutely a show you can watch without. House of the Dragon, I would not say. I think you could probably start in any of these shows and kind of figure it out along the way. Even when you start Game of Thrones, it's like, it kind of takes you a while to learn everybody's name, get used to all the characters, and the locations. There's a bit of like a time it takes to really feel like you understand this world. Maybe if you read the books, it would be different. But if you're just jumping in blind, I would say it's hard. House of the Dragon is similar. I mean, you're only paying attention to one family, but everybody has white hair. Everybody has white hair, and they all have similar names. And there's not as much variety in the location. But Night of the Seven Kingdoms so far is really only taking place in one town, but we're only 3 episodes in. I mean, come on. And I know the story takes them elsewhere. And I like it. I like that. That's my favorite trope ever, is like big man like adopts a smaller child and they just have adventures together. Game of Thrones pulled that off a couple times too. I had forgotten how soon they reveal Egg as the prince, because they already did it in the show. And I was almost certain that they did it like way later. But maybe that was a change, maybe not. Maybe I should reread. But watch this fucking show. It's incredible. It's so funny. It's so heartwarming. It's cute. It's adventurous. It's still gory. It's still Game of Thrones, but it's just so different. And I think that's all I have to say about this for now. Just a short little episode to tell you what I've been into recently. Enjoy yourselves and stay tuned. There will be more.